Hey, how you doing?
Me? Fine.
Yeah, you. Yeah.
Yeah.
Good. Good afternoon, good morning, and good evening to
I
everyone else.
can't believe it's the afternoon already. It feels like I just sat down at my desk.
Yeah, it's a strange thing, and actually, we had a time zone change last weekend, and we probably won't have as many people on the call because every time this happens, we switch. It's a week different from when other people switch, and it causes some confusion. But just the change, it's kind of messed up my days. It's like 9:30 a.m. I think it's noon, but it's like 9:30. So, anyways, hey, it's October 31st. It's Halloween. All Hallows Eve. So that's very interesting. Also, Halloween. Something interesting happened on Halloween. In 2008, that's when Satoshi Nakamoto published the paper on Bitcoin on Halloween, 2008. So all my Japanese friends who don't like my impression, sugoi. All right. So, what are we going to talk about today? Oh, yeah. Lots to talk about because the market's been ripping. It's been pretty good, pretty awesome. Yeah. I think most people are pretty happy with that, unless you were betting it was going to go down. And I don't know if a lot of people were betting it was going to go down, but I know a lot of people were hoping for one more pullback before we went up to all-time highs or near all-time highs, which is what we suspected. So, here we are. Hodlers are loving it. They're saying, I told you so. And it's interesting price action. So just going to quickly just check out here. Hey, Giandrea, good to see you. There are a few more people rolling into the room.
Talking of which, I'm just looking at one of the headlines on Deribit. Harris win unlikely to rock Bitcoin price, but crypto fears persist, say observers.
Try to water that statement down, going straight to the basement if she won. But actually, speaking of that, I did set up a little poll. So we talked about who we thought would win the presidency, Republicans or Democrats, last week, and most people were in favor of the Republicans, and the polls certainly show that. I'm sure that there's always polls that won't show that. And the thing about polls, and I think actually I saw. I think it was Joe Rogan was talking about this ages ago. He said, have you ever been called for a poll to his guests? You're like, no. Do you know anybody that's ever been called up on a poll? No. Me either. Who the hell is these people taking this poll? And is it accurate? Like, it's like, they're losers, right? If someone phones you up, hey, this is so-and-so from Nielsen. Would you like to do a poll? Yeah, no, thanks. Click. Who are these people? So you got to,
they stop people in the street. So, the only people in the street during the day are unemployed people.
They ask people in the street. They're not doing it by phone anymore. I guess it's not the old days.
In the old days, when I was young, they would go around the streets with clipboards and stuff. I think.
Oh.
I don't know. I'm not a poll expert.
All right. Anyways, I got a new poll today, and I set this up this way because it is pointing to a Republican win unless the Democrats cheat so much that they will win. And oh my God, I see like 50 videos a day of the cheating that's going on. So it's kind of crazy. But anyways, the question is Bitcoin to 100K within days of a Trump win. This is assuming Trump's win. I'm not saying he's going to. I'm just saying because the polls are oriented that way. If he did, are we going to 100K? So let me know your thoughts. Yes or no. And as we talked about last week, you were suspecting too that hey, maybe this is a buy the rumor, sell the news. Could be.
If looking at it completely dispassionately, everything is buy the rumor, sell the news, right? On average. So,
yeah. Okay. All right. Let's get started. I didn't do a slide today because what's the point of showing a slide? I already said it. The topic is Bitcoin at all-time highs. So what the hell is next? And that's what we're going to talk about today. But let me just jump over. I'm going to share my screen. Let's talk about where we're at, what we got going on here. This should. Oh, is this?
Talking of Bitcoin ripping, so we were just saying before the show that yesterday was a record day for ETF inflows, but the price yesterday didn't actually move.
Yeah, interesting. And here's the ETF inflows you're talking about. It was over 12,000 Bitcoin. And the day before it was nearly 12,000 too. Huge amounts of Bitcoin.
So the day before we saw this huge $2,000 or $3,000 move up. And I think we all started to think, oh God, does that mean that every day it's going to go up $2,000? And then yesterday, just pretty much flat, apart from one little blip, one blip down, one blip up, right? Which kind of tells me, well, wait a minute, that means that the market can absorb having 12,000 Bitcoins bought without moving the price.
Well, for how many days, right?
I mean, it just makes you wonder how much inventory is out there, right, in the order books.
Yeah, and speaking of that, if we take a look at the liquidation heat map, like I could look at, and this is just the free one from CoinGlass, nothing. We're not betting the farm on it, but we got liquidity is starting to form up above, not a ton. I think all-time high in Bitcoin is at 74 or 73.8 or something like that. So,
right, yeah.
Right at the all-time high, makes sense. People would, stake their claim there. A little bit building up underneath at 71.5. But if we go to a week, I think what we were looking at on a Monday, I was looking at Monday when we had our members call, our Rogue Trader Academy members call. There was nothing. There was nothing up above, like zero liquidity. Nobody was daring to sell calls or to sell up there. Now we're starting to see a little bit form. A little bit down here, 71,000. Okay, fair enough. And because how far away is the 8th? 9 days away, right? Yeah, because it's the 31st today. So this is kind of sort of election day, what we're set up at the moment. If we look at 2 weeks away, if it loads here, a little slow, it got nothing. Look how thin it is. 2 weeks.
Interesting. So no one's really taking any positions anyway.
It seems that way, yeah. And
I mean, there are some residual longs, but apart from that, right?
Yeah. I don't know if I read too much into that, but I thought it was kind of interesting. And I think a lot of people take the same position as us. As you know what, we're going to sell some risk on the 8th because it's real high vol there, and we're always selling where it's high vol. Could it go higher? Yes, it could. But if there's a vol crush, then we're going to make money, even if it does move against us, depending on how much it moves. We're in a pretty favorable position.
Actually, on that note, Shane, I just in case people are thinking of selling the 70 vol on the 8th of November, hoping to sort of snatch some money out a few days before, that kind of isn't how it works. In the same way as markets never let you on if they're ripping. They never have a pullback to let you in. If you get like a vol cliff like we've got, what you'll tend to find is every day we get towards expiry on the 8th, the vol will rise because the premiums will rise. So you're never actually able to get out with your profit. You just have to sit there and ride it. You're either right or you're wrong, right? And you just got to ride it.
Yeah, and a lot of times, vol can't stay high forever. The market can't sustain that. But if you're in a position where you have to roll, if you're rolling from a high vol to a low vol, it's that, and that's Richard, his whole career is about doing those kinds of things.
I've got my little magic Hong Kong chart. So we're 70 vol on the 8th. That means that if you were long vol, you would want the market to move 3.6% per day in order to gamma hedge to make enough money to pay the bill. Yeah. So that's quite a big move. 3.6%. That's like it's day before yesterday move.
It has to do that every day.
Yeah.
So that's the danger of buying high vol. And never mind if we're at 80 vol or 100 vol, the market's really got to be cooking every single day for you to make money. And as soon as it stops, boom.
You're losing money. Yeah, 100 vol, 5.2% a day.
Yeah.
Every day.
Yeah.
That's a rule of thumb, right? But that's kind of the kind of markets you've got to be in to make money, being long that.
Yeah.
So the market's really priced to rip at the moment, and so anything other than it ripping is going to lose people money.
So I'm just talking a little bit here about the chart. So obviously we know where we're at. I don't have to tell you the price of Bitcoin hanging out just underneath our all-time highs. But on Monday, when I was talking about that members call we had, some of the guys are saying, well, you know what, I think there's a good chance you might, move back to, 66, 67, maybe even a quick move to 65 or something crazy. And we'd like to pick it up there. And while that can always happen, I was a little bit more guarded, and I said, well, I'll join you in that trade. But in my experience, when a market goes, it goes, and you'll pay any price. That's the time as a trader when you'll smash the offer. You'll give up the spread, regardless of what the spread is, because the thing is going to go. Otherwise, you're just not going to get into the trade. So this is one of those times where we're sitting here on Monday, hanging around here. I said, no, I'm going to put stop market orders on futures all the way up until we get up to this range, because I suspect that it's going to stop there, even just temporarily, before it either moves back up or comes back down. And that's exactly what happened. So I ended up accumulating futures all the way through. My average price is kind of in here. Now, some of those futures I sold as it went up as well, to lock in profit. And of course, now that it's sitting here, I've got stops. Once it comes down here, I'll take those out at a profit, not as much profit, but it wants to stay here. And Bitcoin does this. Bitcoin will always do this. It'll make some stupid move and then go sideways for a while. And everybody's kind of sitting on tenterhooks going, well, is it going to go up? Is it going to go down? Well, we don't know. But if it wants to go up, I've already got my futures loaded up here, and I will buy more. If it breaks up above 74, you bet I will be buying. I'll be leapfrogging, buying, selling all the way up, and I'll be using trigger orders to do it. The one thing I will say from my trading experience is when you get these new highs and you get gross moves, it moves 8%, 12%, just some ridiculous amount in a day, expect some violent, crazy pullbacks too. And they may only be flashes. They only, like, let's just say we moved up, we're sitting here talking, boom, we go to 76 for some bloody reason. Okay, great. That's when I'll go in, I'll put an order in at 74, 73, 72. As it's going up, just to get these crazy wicks, even if it ends up going to 85 later today. That's the only way you can pick them up. If you're sitting in front of the screen, you can jump it. If you can jump in, great. But otherwise, I put those limit orders in just to look for those wicks, and I'll never load the boat on any one of them. I'll just be picking up little bits in case it comes all the way back down to here, right? I want my average price to be deal-withable. It's a new word, deal-withable.
Yes, and I also I've been chasing the market up with futures. I think even on fairly small books, I'm now sort of long 1 times NAV in futures, hedging call risk. But when I do that, I also buy some puts because
Yes, that's the other thing. If the market's ripping up, we're always buying puts that are cheap or relatively cheap, and if the market's screaming down, always be buying calls.
Because 2 days ago the market was skewed up 5% at the 10 delta risk reversal 1 week. So I was thinking, okay, well, let's buy 1 week puts, and then this week it's skewed down 5% at 10 delta. So glad I bought them then rather than now, right? So
yeah, and a lot of times too, when those so for example, when the market crapped its pants the last time here, let me just go back to the screen. When the market did that move down into the 50s, down over here, well, went down here, then up and down. As it's screaming down, you could have been buying calls. Those early calls, sometimes you'll get hit because the market's moving fast and you can just get a super great price. As it settles in, of course, everything starts to equalize and people say, oh, hang on, maybe it's going to start to bounce. And then the calls get a bit more expensive. I mean, obviously, if you can buy calls closer to when it's going to bounce, the better. But you never know if this is going to be a flash down and back up. So I guess what I'm trying to say is I'll spread the call buying out during this period. Yes, maybe I'm buying some as it's coming down, and those will go out worthless, and I'll never ever collect on them. But I'm not betting the farm on any one of those positions. I'm just adding as it comes up. Some of them are going to pay off, hopefully a lot more than what it ended up paying.
And actually worth mentioning that had you bought 70k calls when the market was down at 60 or below 60, they would have been like 20 bips, nothing. And for end of November, right? And today they're something horrible,
Yeah,
you make a 10x or 20x money.
So the topic today is all right. We got Bitcoin at just hanging out underneath all-time highs. well, what's next? So what are your thoughts? What do you think is going to happen next?
I
didn't mean to
honestly,
short circuit your brain.
yeah, no, I honestly don't know because I mean, I think before the election, no one is going to dare short it unless you get somebody big come in and try and spoof it down and flush everybody out. But it seems to me that there's not enough leverage in the market to make that really worthwhile, and it's dangerous when you've got people like Saylor and BlackRock in the market buying.
Fair enough.
But so I think I'm still okay with the idea of a crawl up before the election, or maybe a $2,000 range, maybe $4,000 range, who knows? And then after the election, well, that could be $10,000 up, it could be $10,000 down. That's my feeling on that.
I think that's fair to expect a creep up to the election. Now,
the model I've got. Sorry to interrupt you. The model I've got is actually back in July. There's a similar thing, right? Back in July, you may not remember. I remember vividly because I was trading this in our systematic book. So we spent 3 weeks of July, making zero money because we were short calls and buying futures. And that's a good trade normally if the market's rising. And the market was rising and rising because there was this anticipation of a speech by Trump at Nashville. Where he was expected to announce a sovereign Bitcoin fund. And the market rose and rose and rose up to the speech, up to about these levels, 73, 4K, 72, 3, whatever it was. And all for that 3 weeks, the vols were rising as well. And I was continually selling vol into that rise, but I was making no money because all the decay was being taken up by the Vega as the vols rose. And then as he spoke, people just sold the market, and all of that vol vanished. People realised, oh, he's not going to do a sovereign fund, and we made, I think, 4.5% in 1 day just in collapsing vols, just on the Vega, and then, of course the market sold off quite hard. It went back down to low 50s, like a 20% sell off over the course of 2 or 3 days. Was quite aggressive, yeah. And so we ended up giving back about 1.5% on that sell off. Just because of the gamma hedging errors, but still we made 3% on the whole deal, and I could kind of envisage a similar scenario on the election.
Yeah, I think that's a fair assessment. The other thing that I think could happen is I feel like these all-time highs, they've been tested enough, they need to break now. And whether that's just a wick through and we take a little jaunt up to 77 or something and then come back down, in which case a lot of people will be saying, well, this 73, resistance turns into support, will now be the new support. And I think if that happens, a lot of people will be buying low 70s, looking for that area of support, which might help it and buoy it and then make another move up. So I feel like here, as we get closer to November 8th, if things seem to be continuing where it looks like a Trump win, I just think we're just going to keep moving up and up and up, kind of like what happened in July. Now, the question is let's say he does win, will there be that dump? Okay, he's in, going to sell, here's some great profit. There's certainly going to be some of that, I think. But are more people going to be saying, okay, it's on. Everything's changing in the crypto landscape. This is the beginning of a new era. For the next 4 years, we're going to be heading up. We're getting on board now. I think that's reasonable to, for some people to think that as well. Whether it'll happen or not, I'm not sure. Either way, I think that we're both in agreement that we're probably going to be going north until next week. And then it's all bets are off. And as you said, we could be up 10 grand or down 10 grand just like that. And of course, then we have got to deal with the results of the election. Is there going to be, challenges, rioting? Who freaking knows? And some states will take, a week or longer to certify results. So we could be in for a real period of volatility when that happens. And that's why I love taking. So we were selling November 8th high vol for many weeks. And some of those are, 30% of their value gone, some 50%, some more. I think once you get through the weekend, if I've got stuff that's getting close to 70, just going to take it off. I'm taking maybe even 50.
Yeah.
I'll just take it off, de-risk, and say, okay, let the games begin. You want to wick down to 58? Well, guess what? I'll be all over that. You want to rip up to 82 for some reason? All over it. I think there'll be great opportunities happening. Now, I'm not saying it's going to be that extreme. That is a little bit extreme, but who knows? Why not? It's Bitcoin, right? There's no rules. The gloves are off.
It all depends on who's long the market, whether it's the market makers or the punters. I suspect it's the punters, which is why the vol's been driven so high, because everyone's been buying it.
Yeah.
And the market makers are short the vol, like you and I are.
Yeah.
So we're probably on the right side of it, but we have to hedge it properly.
Yeah.
And I think you're right about the endless fun in November. I think there's like an implicit. Well, the vol surface is giving us this expectation that on the 5th of November, all the vol breaks and vanishes. And the reality is that, of course, it's not going to do that. There's not enough people to come in and just sell vol to sell that.
So I've lost Richard. He's frozen up here. I lost you for a second there, Richard.
Sorry. Yeah, I'm on this VPN. I forgot to switch it off before. Sorry. Yeah. So I think it's going to take some time for the vol to get sold down in November. I think, even if the market just goes quiet. I have a quick question for you. Something we've never thought about, right? What happens if the all-time high isn't broken? What happens if this is the top and it just starts drifting down now?
Yeah, I would be very scared about short puts at that point. I think there would be a good chance we're going back down to the low 60s, high 50s. And because that was that's always been the floor before. And I'd look for a bounce off there, but I'd be very careful. So let's just say that happened. And, during the month of November, we slid down and ended up at, 61, bouncing between a few $1,000 down there. I would be wary.
I mean now. So right now we're all sitting here expecting the market to go up in the next 9 days, right?
Which is dangerous.
So it's a one-sided trade. So there's every opportunity for it not to, right? So what happens if it doesn't? What happens if it drops $1,000 today, and then $1,000 tomorrow? At what point does the market think, wait a minute, we're wrong?
That's a good question. That's a good question. And, when we look at the, when we go over here and we look at these, this heat map.
Yeah. And also, that 12,000 Bitcoins that go into ETFs could easily come out just as quickly as it went in.
Yeah. I mean, a bit of liquidity here, but here it's just light. Like it'll go through it like a hot knife through butter if it wants to go down. So,
so I'm because sometimes we do see it sort of pump up, wait 2 days, and then drop back to where it came from.
Yeah.
That would be. Yeah,
I think there'd be a lot of confusion, and I hadn't really thought about that too much. Although I do buy puts in these situations, and I do have quite a few puts at the end of November. Now they're way out of the money. They're 5 deltas or whatever the hell they are, but I've got quite a few Bitcoins worth of puts, and I do have quite a few Bitcoins of calls end of November that I was buying probably in September. So, we mostly sell vol. I haven't been selling a lot of puts. I didn't like selling puts on this rally up because there was just not a lot of value there. The juice didn't seem worth the squeeze. So I'm okay if it come down. I've got trigger orders to get rid of the futures. I'd rather have it go up. But good question. Will everybody say, okay, that's it. This was a big rally. We're going to go back and maybe 2025 we're going to make a run at the high again. It could be. That's a good question. I will make. We just got 5 minutes left of time, and I know the time zone always screws people up. We don't have as many people on the call today, but I will remind everyone: if you do have any questions, please put them in the Q&A section in the chat, and we'll get to them. Well, way to throw some water on my fire there, Richard.
Yeah, well, because markets are herd animals, aren't they?
And we always get concerned when we're in the crowd trade, right?
And also, I spend too much of my time dealing with crypto people, so that crypto people are always bullish, and most people in the world don't give a damn what Bitcoin's doing. Literally don't think about it any day of the week.
Yeah.
And let's not forget that we are still at the mercy of whales, and BlackRock being a particular whale, the BlackRock ETF. I'm convinced that these ETFs are being used as a proxy for basically Bitcoin futures by other trading houses in Wall Street. And these people are merciless. They don't care about the long-term future of Bitcoin. They'll buy it or short it or long, whatever they feel like. Right?
That's right. We've got an army of Gordon Geckos out there.
Right. So that 24,000 Bitcoins that got accumulated over the past 2 days could be sold in the next hour, and then we'd be back down at 50.
Yeah. I wonder. I've never thought about this. I'm sure that there are some, but I wonder if, and not that I'm in the investment arena at all, but I wonder if some mutual funds have been getting on board and adding Bitcoin ETFs to their portfolios. I'm sure they must be. I'm completely ignorant of it. So
I think I did read that one pension board had added either the ETFs or MicroStrategy to their portfolio. Yeah,
it wouldn't surprise me.
But remember that back in 2007, pension funds were buying mortgage-backed securities and CDOs, right? So the history of this is that they'll buy any toxic shit they get sold, right?
Yes, indeed.
And I was actually looking at the Michael Saylor's MicroStrategy today, and because he's just said that they're going to buy another $500 million of Bitcoin over the next whatever it is, 2 years or whatever. And I sat and thought about this. And I thought, you know what? If I was an alien coming to Earth and looking at this for the first time, having just read the rules, I would call that a Ponzi scheme. Because Saylor's strategy is just like, we're going to keep on buying, and the price is going to keep on pumping, right? So people who come in later are feeding the people who got in first. I mean, literally, the definition of a Ponzi scheme. And but we only don't call it a Ponzi scheme because it's legal, because it's using legal instruments and a legal market. But it's the same thing, right?
Same thing. Question from Vladimir is asking how the synthetic miner is doing. Did you have that spreadsheet? Do you want to share that?
The spreadsheet I don't, but I can show you this. I can share the screen. Does that work?
Yeah.
I could show the spreadsheet. Hang on. Hang on. Bitcoin options.
Whatever you got.
So this is the. Oops, that's not the one. This is.
Well, I've got the spreadsheet. If you want, I can share that.
Yeah. Do that. There we are. I'm showing the wrong screen. No, sorry. Yeah.
Too many monitors. Do you want me to share the spreadsheet, or are you okay?
If you share the spreadsheet, and I'll share the trading screen.
I'll do that right now. Here we go. Screen share on Rogue.
Sorry, anyone there? I've got like 6 or 8 trading screens open. So, yeah. So
can you see this?
Yeah. So we're recovering nicely, right?
Yeah. We're back up. This is return in Bitcoin, and here we are return in US dollars. So we're way ahead of the hodlers after that horrible event in August. And shoulda, woulda, coulda. I'm not going to say, we would have done this or should have done that, because that's not fair. But after that 30% down move in August, give us a bit of a beating. We decided we would reduce our risk, and we knew that it would take us a bit longer to come back, but I felt that was the right thing to do. It probably was, or we felt it was the right thing to do. Yeah.
I think the account's looking good. It's at 0.1. We started the account with 0.06. Cool. So we're nicely up 40%, whatever it is, 30%. So we're happy with that. And I think so. We've kind of been a little bit more delta neutral than we were, because originally the synth miner was literally just 1 call and 3 puts, wasn't it? And we remember we pushed all that risk out to December, and then if you look at this December now, you can see that we've fed all that risk back into. We've got now no short puts in December. That's all been fed back forward into the front months, and we've got some big premium expiring here in 8th of November and 15th of November, and then 29th of November. I think and then December we've got a short call, and I think actually being in smaller size and being in strangles is probably a better strategy than the synth miner native. But we're still biased towards puts, right?
Yeah, we're trying not to change the strategy too much. I mean, we have to make little adjustments, but I think it's been pretty good. I think we were really happy that we were able to bring all that risk forward from December, because the market just got hammered. We're like, oh crap, we've got all these puts that are in the money now. We had to move them out to December to realize that value, and we just looked for opportunities to bring them forward. And that is what a slow grinding market will do. It'll give you that opportunity. And it never puts you in danger, and it's a beautiful thing when it happens.
And it's worth remembering when we sold those, we rolled those puts out to December. We rolled them out, and they were at 70 vol. And at the moment, the vol out in December is 55. So we've won all that vol back. 15 vols we got back.
And I will mention one other thing is we kind of did things in two stages too. We had the short puts in December, and we increased their we moved the strike further away from the money, and then we brought them forward. So we moved them from like a 68 down to a 65, and then to a 63, and then brought that 63 forward. And the clever thing you did last week or earlier this week is you said, shoot, we've got one put left in December. Why don't we throw it on the 8th? Because we were actually getting a credit for a December put, bring it to the 8th. Now, again, we got a credit because we'd improved the strike price of that December put. And we thought, you know what, it's a bit cheeky, but let's try it.
Well, that's what I was going to say. The second part of that was that, so during that whole dealing with the big drawdown, we basically sold 70 vol Decembers. And now Decembers are 55 volts, and we can swap them for 70 vol 8th Novembers. So we can bring them forward and actually get 15 more vols of premium. So it's a brilliant trade. I love this trade. It's like this relative value trade between end of the year and now. And these are localized events are wonderful for that, because you can pull all that risk forward, dump it on this 8th. If it goes wrong, we can always roll it back out again. And it gives us a chance to get all that money back earlier.
Yeah. See how it works out. I don't know how those 8th are looking now. I didn't look at the ROI to see if they're.
This is a pretty wide strangle now.
It's pretty wide right now. Yeah, it's.
To be honest, that the put side, we're double covered on the puts, and we could almost just close it out flat now.
Do you have the ROI indicator up there? I can't go.
The ROI for the
60,000 puts.
Well, we sold the 60,000 puts at 120, and they're currently worth 31.
Yeah, I mean.
So net, we're up about 60%, I think, including the cover.
Yeah, beautiful. Giandrea says, yes, me too. I want to know about Synth Miner. She was missing news about it, so we'll try to make sure we're good. And just so you know, I think next week we're probably not going to have a show. You're off in Dubai giving a talk, I think, so we're probably going to skip next week. Is that?
Yeah, I've been invited to be a panelist at a talk to 1,000 CEOs, and I'm being invited to talk about the systematic trading that I do. So hopefully we'll turn a big chunk of those people into crypto degens.
Sounds like a postmodern Chinese wall covering, 1,000 CEOs under the sun. And you will be under the sun.
So I'm going to spend a week in Dubai, and catching up with some old friends and some business people, and giving that talk. But
okay.
If anyone's around, if any of our viewers live in Dubai, you should give me a shout.
There you go. So ending the poll. Well, it was small. We didn't have a huge time zone, so there wasn't as many people on today's call. But 100% of people think that this is a buy the rumor, sell the news. They think that we're probably to go down if Trump does get in, and it won't keep going up. I've got a feeling we're going to go up afterwards, but I guess we're going to see, because I feel like that all-time high needs to break. But I suppose we'll see.
It's just trying now. We've just had a $200-$300 sell-off followed by a little bit of a recovery. It's like it's jostling. So these jostling periods often come before $1,000 move up or down.
Yeah. G. Andrea says she's going to miss the show next week as well. Well, thank you very much. That's very kind. Just head out to Dubai and hang out with Richard there. I'm sure he'll enjoy having you out there.
Yeah.
All right, let's shut it down. We've gone past our time. Hey, thanks everyone for joining us. Hey, interesting times. We're going to miss next week, and next week, of course, is the November 8th. We actually, hang on. November 8th. I don't know why I got confused there for a moment. So expect some fireworks. Watch your risk. I think it's a wise thing to have risk off and then jump on opportunities versus having a heavy amount of risk that you have to adjust. But
don't be greedy. Every day you're alive is another opportunity to make money. Every day that you're broke is a day that you can't make money.
That's right. And there's an endless supply of opportunities during your lifetime. So if you miss one, there's another one just around the corner.
Yeah.
All right. Hey, thanks everyone for joining us, and we will see you in 2 weeks' time. Take care, everyone.